My name is Shannon Farley. I'm the regional lead for the North America Global Center, and I'm joined here today by Bridie, I'll have introduce herself in just a moment. Since we were talking about Dublin and Irish culture and Irish experience, I just wanted to inform the group about a non-credit bearing offering that UCD offers the public in general, but certainly might be an opportunity for a future postgraduate student to experience. It's an Irish language summer school. So it's an opportunity to come to UCD. You would potentially live on campus if that's an option you want to pursue, to learn Irish language, to learn Irish culture, be immersed in that for all of, a few days. Generally, it's Monday to Friday, and you would move in on the Sunday if you were opting into that on-campus accommodation. But as you can see, a quite affordable rate at option 1 and option 3. To have all of your meals covered as well. So if that's something that interests you, if you're really excited about the actual Irish cultural and community aspects and Irish history, this is just one of many opportunities that you might be able to pursue at UCD or in Dublin in general as you settle into your new home. Bridie's going to drop the link to that experience in the chat if you would like to learn more. To introduce you to our full team, we are all US-based representatives and team members of UCD. So we are here to help you. This webinar here today is one example of many that we hope to aid the transition from your offer holder stage as you begin to consider your options and whether or not you are accepting or going to come to Dublin in September. We are here to support that transition. So it's myself, my colleague Jim in Chicago, my colleague Kendall is based in Nashville. You might have also heard from Chelsea over on the West Coast. And I have Bridie here today, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hello, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm Bridie Troy. I am based in Chicago, but I love working with students from all over. I am also the Federal Aid and Funding Liaison. So yeah, very excited to be here today, and congratulations all of you on this amazing offer to attend UCD.
Lovely. So Bridie and here we have plenty of information to share with all of you, and we encourage you to put questions into the chat. Not only are Bridie and I in the chat, and we'll have a big Q&A toward the end for live questions, but we also have some guests of honor. So I would like to take a moment and ask Sierra to unmute herself. Introduce yourself, Sierra. I guess what you've studied, where you're from, and any general advice you want to share at this point in the presentation.
Hi, I'm Sierra, and sorry if there's a lag. I'm an MA Literature and Culture student here at UCD, and really enjoying my time here. And so I'm happy to answer any questions about like moving to Dublin and the immigration processes, and then just, fun stuff to do around Dublin as well.
Sierra, thanks so much. Did you mention where you're from originally?
Oh, sorry, I'm from Massachusetts.
Fabulous. All right. Thank you so much, Sierra. So you're our current student perspective over there on the ground. And we also have Noah. Noah, do you mind unmuting yourself and introducing yourself as well?
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Noah. So I am a former grad student at UCD. I was in the MA in Public History and I graduated class of 2022, so not too long ago. I'm from Las Vegas and I'm currently back in Las Vegas, so I had a little bit of a further jump over to Dublin, but happy to answer any questions that all of you might have and help you learn a little bit more about UCD.
And we also have Jackie joining us. Jackie, if you want to unmute yourself.
Hi, sorry, I was out running errands. Hi, my name is Jackie Vaselli. I graduated from UCD in 2020, which was a great year for all of us, with the Master's in International Relations. I became familiar with UCD when I did a study abroad semester in 2017 when I was a sophomore. And should I say now where I work? I now work at the Irish consulate in New York. So I work for the Irish government. Yeah.
Jackie, so much, and we really appreciate all three of your perspectives. Again, all three of you will be in the chat, and we'll go back to you a few times throughout some of the slides over the next few minutes. We do hope to wrap up the kind of formal slides that we have and really content that we want to make sure all of you know. None of what we're presenting today is brand new. It's accessible on our website, but it's a way for us to deliver the information to you, and also get your live questions. So we really thank you all for being here live today. Jackie, Sierra, and Noah will be joining us throughout, and again for the Q&A towards the end. To introduce you to UCD's campus, so anyone that's studying in Belfield or essentially not on the Black Rock campus, so you'd be on the Black Rock campus of UCD if you're doing a Smurfit course or taking any classes at all with our Graduate School of Business. Otherwise, you'll find yourself on this lovely green campus in Dublin City. It is just outside the Dublin City Centre. It'd be about 15-20-minute bus ride. But this map here kind of shows you the scale of campus. It's about 300 acres. So you might find yourself only in small corners of this as you take your academic classes if you live on campus, but there's so much to explore around the Belfield campus at UCD. We're about 32,000 students. About 2,000 students at any given time are North Americans on campus. So that's undergraduates, that's study abroad students, that's postgraduate, that's master's students, all included as well. And just to kind of, I guess, frame campus as well, I would always consider the center of campus to be this lake here in the middle. And then you have all the academic buildings around the outside and the residences primarily off to the right there. But we'll get back to campus in just a few minutes. As far as academics at UCD, we are here today to give you a lot of general information, but you're all admitted to programs across 6 academic colleges at UCD, across 38 different academic schools within those colleges. So your program office will be best prepared to answer any specific questions about your program, especially as we begin to prompt you on some questions throughout this presentation. At this point in time, especially for students who have accepted their offer, we do start getting questions about when am I going to get my UCD email, and that tends to become available in late August. We're onboarding a new system, and that may happen sooner rather than later, but just be prepared that UCD in general starts a lot of its official processes to welcome you as full-time students to UCD in August, and that's also when your module registration, your class registration will begin. With many of you in your programs and in your academic master's programs, your core modules, your core classes are essentially pre-selected for you. You often just have to actually physically register for them, and others of you will have optional modules as well. So that link at the bottom of the slide, the UCD students/course search, would allow you to look at the specifics of your academic program to see the classes that you would generally be registered for in the fall and the spring. But I would love to hand it over, maybe especially first to Sierra, as fresh in your mind about how you transitioned maybe from undergraduate to postgraduate at UCD. What were your expectations, and what has real life been as a student at UCD in terms of your academics and your classroom experience?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm a literature student, so most of my own classes are in Newman Building. And I actually live on campus, which I can also talk more about that later in the presentation as well. So I don't actually have to go that far for my classes. Other than that, I spend most of my time in the student center, which has a lot of great facilities, including 3 different gyms and like free exercise classes, which is great. And also at Bluebird Cafe, which is in Newman Building, and lots of people like spend time hanging out by the lake, which is really nice. And yeah, the academics here are great. My class sizes are small, and I know a lot of them aren't that big even for the, oh wait, I don't know if it's just master's students, but a lot of them are good class sizes. Yeah, and the professors are very available to answer questions, and it definitely elevates the experience if you make good friends with your course mates as well.
Absolutely. And we know everyone's experiences will change pretty drastically as far as what your classroom experience looks like, depending on what program you're in. So I'll encourage maybe Noah to unmute yourself and maybe explain what any connections you were able to make with your professors and what that kind of academic relationship looked like.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's one of the really unique things about UCD is that I'm 2 years out from the program now, but I still talk to my professors all the time. So I had, my program coordinator who kind of oversaw the actual classes that I took in the public history program, as well as my dissertation supervisor who led me through all my research while I was at UCD. And both of those people were great to make contact with and kind of have relationships with both throughout my time at UCD. And I think more importantly, since I've left UCD, they're people that I've kind of always been able to email and ask for um, advice on life after grad school or about continuing research or whatever it may have been. Um, but then also kind of importantly, while I was at UCD, I thought it was important that I made a lot of connections with just my classmates themselves. I'm kind of seeing in the chat, people are starting to ask about the average student size for each graduate program. So I'll tell you my size was 7, which was awesome. I think a lot of people are used to being in really large programs, especially if you go to grad school in the US, programs are typically quite large. But because it was only 7 of us, we all got to know each other very well. We all had a group chat that we used every day, whether that was for the classic complaining about classes when you need to, or if it was, asking very serious questions and helping each other through the workload. Um, I can't tell you how many assignments were made so much easier just because we had such a tight knit group that we were able to kind of make regular connections with. And similarly to my professors, I still talk to my classmates all the time. We still use that group chat, and it's kind of been a very constant connection to UCD despite being out of it for 2 years, which I think is kind of a really unique experience that you get to have from having the tight knit programs that you get at UCD.
Thank you so much, Noah, for sharing that. Sometimes your course, so just as for terminology, course generally refers to your program, the title of your master's, and then module would refer to the actual, maybe 5, 6, 4 or 5 classes that you're in the fall term or the spring term. But for your course, generally information about capacity and specifics are sometimes available online, not always. So you might have to reach out to your program office if you're curious about your specifics. Generally, I would only be able to answer more about maybe how many non-EU students are in your program versus the full capacity of your program. So I do encourage you to reach out to your program office if that is a big question for you. Great. We're going to keep going to talk about the next steps after this presentation, or perhaps you've already taken it, but it is about accepting your offer. So some of you may have something called a conditional offer. Some of you may have something called an offer. If you have a conditional offer, we do encourage you to review those conditions. The default conditions can be sending us your official transcripts from your undergraduate degree if you're still in progress, or some other type of transcripts. If you have a full offer, that generally means there's no ties to that offer that are outstanding for you. So we encourage you to go into your account for UCD, check your offer letter. Your offer letter is a live document. So it's also where you can check out information about where to find, key dates and start dates for UCD, but also very importantly, your tuition and your scholarship amount. So if your scholarship from UCD were to change, and we'll talk about scholarships in just a few minutes, your offer letter as a live document would also then be updated. So that's a reason we don't email it to you directly, or certainly not mail it to you in the mail, because that is a live document. So we encourage you to go in. You can conditionally accept. Conditionally accept is, in our eyes, a full acceptance as long as you meet your conditions. It's not a wait list. It's not a reserve. You have a seat in your program. We just want to make sure that the conditions are met. And like I said, most of the time, the default is that you just send us your official transcripts over the summer. So those official transcripts can be sent to North America at ucd.ie. We do highly encourage the electronic sending wherever possible, but you can always email us for our physical address, and we'll make sure you have the right one for our New York office. We'll hand it back maybe to Jackie this time, and then Sierra and Noah to talk about life on campus. Sierra kicked us off talking about some of the student center amenities. You know, we are a large university, especially in the definition of Ireland, more so. There's over 130 clubs and societies. All of them are open to graduate students. They're not there just for the undergraduate student experience. There's restaurants on campus, places to eat, cafes, bookshops, lots in, as far as the Dublin community as well. And just wanted to point out that the UCD Global Lounge is also a hub for international students and supports on campus as well. So Jackie, can you maybe remember back to at least your first semester? I know your second semester at UCD was marred by a lot of COVID at the time.
Just a sprinkle of COVID here and there.
Yeah.
So I lived on campus in Bellafield. I loved it. It was great. Because there was just a wide variety of different students living there. I would say mainly international students. My roommates were all American, but it just ended up being that way. But a lot of people I know like lived with a lot of different people from all over the place. But it was really nice having my own room. And having access to a kitchen and being able to cook food. I got Tesco delivered, which was amazing. Tesco is like grocery store, so it was nice not being able to have to go to the grocery store and get it delivered instead, right to my door. That was very convenient. Definitely an option to look into if you are living on campus. But yeah, I loved being really close. A lot of my classes were in the Newman building, so I was literally right across the street. So it was so nice being able to wake up like 20 minutes before class and just and just not worry about like not making it to class in time. So
Jackie, did you join any of the clubs and societies, or did you get involved in anything outside of campus?
I did. I joined a few. I really loved the International Student Society. Honestly, it was one of my favorites. Because I got to, meet a lot of other Americans from all over the place, but also from, all over the world, which was amazing. And they have really great programs. I really liked being able to take field trips and go around to different places. Like I saw Newgrange, we went to a farm, I got to pet sheep and for like really great prices and just have like a great group trip. So if like none of your roommates or like friends want to go, it's kind of nice just to be able to go in a whole group and meet other people as well. And I also joined the French Society because there was coffee and croissants. So definitely, I would say join a few clubs and see how they are.
Absolutely. And you'll see club societies based on your interests, also based on your academic passions, or just like new things that you want to try because you're in a new place and this is the time to do it. Sierra, is there anything that jumps out to you that you'd like to share on getting involved or any societies, clubs you got to be involved in either through UCD or just in the Dublin area in general?
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to second what she said about the International Student Society. I'm one of the trips officers for it, and it's so much fun to get to. We did one to Glendalough, we did one to Hoth. It's a really good way to be able to see Dublin and Ireland in general. And also like Res Life, if you are on campus, has lots of trips like that as well. And then societies have trips, so you will get a chance to explore Ireland if you're here. And then I'm also part of the karate club, which I really like. And they do intervarsity like competitions if you're into doing competitions, but there's also tons of sports clubs if you are into a different sport. And the Law and Literary and Historical Society have like debate nights every week, and they also free pizza, so that's fun to go to. And all of the societies are just €2 to join, so you can just join a bunch at the beginning and then go to events for them throughout the semester.
Yeah, so the event you're talking about there is generally called Freshers Week. So, maybe a little bit more pointed for the undergraduate students, but is open to everyone and anyone. It's in the first few weeks of the fall term and again in the spring term. That all the societies are represented in large tents or throughout the student center, so you can go and learn more about them. And I'm sure maybe your different respective undergraduate institutions might have had something similar, but you can expect that type of large scale welcome to UCD to find these different clubs to get involved. Noah, is there anything of note from your campus involvements that you want to talk about?
Sure, yeah. So I mean, in terms of clubs and societies, I didn't personally join any. There is a history society at UCD that did a few. They put on a few lectures that I attended, but I wouldn't say I was formally part of the society. But I did live on campus. When I first got there, it was the year that the UCD Village opened, which was the newest residence area on campus. So I had the downside if they were still building some of it. So I had lots of construction. But also, I was the first person to ever live in the room that I was in, which was very nice. I can actually, in that picture, totally see which room I lived in. Um, so that was really great that I was able to live on campus and that it was, really a full scale apartment. I had my own room, I had my own bathroom, and then I shared, the living room and kitchen with 5 other people. So it was very nice to have a very adult style of living on campus rather than your classic American dormitory where it's, 3 of you shoved in one room. So if on-campus accommodation is something that you're interested in, but you're kind of like, oh, is this appropriate for a graduate student? I'll definitely clarify. Yes, it is. It's great. It's very adult. One of the other kind of unique aspects that I had about that was that I had different roommates each semester. So my first semester, I just happened to end up living with a ton of Erasmus students. So for those of you that don't know, Erasmus is kind of just like the inner European study abroad. So all of them happened to just be there for the one semester. So I had 2 French roommates, a Spanish roommate, a British roommate. So they were all there for the one semester. And then when they moved out over winter break and I got a new batch, they pretty much all happened to be American study abroad students. So it was a little different because they were undergrads while I was in graduate school. But, study abroads, they were towards the end of their academic career. And it was really nice to kind of have that flip from getting to meet a ton of people from all around the continent to then also being with people that I had, of course, a lot of shared experiences with as an American. And, that same type of thing where we were all very happy to go out and explore the city and things like that together because their time was finite and they were going to be going back home at a certain time. So I definitely highly recommend living on campus. I think I saw somebody ask if it's more expensive than living off campus. The answer is yes. The reason I still chose to live on campus, even though it's more expensive, is that finding housing in Dublin can be a bit difficult. They're not unique in that. It's common in lots of places that finding housing can be difficult, but especially, coming as an international student trying to find housing without the easy sponsorship from the university, I just thought on-campus housing was easier. But I do know lots of people that lived off campus and they still had great experiences once they were able to find a place to live.
No, thank you so much. And that hits on what we're going to talk about next. The opportunity to live on campus, and graduate students do have that opportunity. You must be an accepted student or conditionally accepted with your deposit paid in order to start getting the emails to register for housing. Housing is, of course, limited. We have about 4,000 beds on campus, but different groups, as Noah mentioned, whether they're study abroad or undergraduate students, are all looking for those beds as well. So for graduate students, there tend to be a lot of beds available up front, and then they become more available as time goes on as well, especially into the summer. So stay tuned to your emails and be alert to that. And if that's a priority for you, we do encourage you to accept and deposit just so you can start being on those emails earlier. On-campus housing, everyone has their own room. It is completely mixed. So whether that's mixed gender, mixed level, mixed academic, mix of everything, you can find international, Irish, all in the residence halls, but everyone has their own room. Some of the rooms will be en suite. Some of them may have a shared, 2 bathrooms in an apartment of 6. There's a shared kitchen space, a shared common space, and then some shared amenities throughout the building or throughout the complexes as well. Again, be careful if you're picking on-campus housing, and maybe not be too careful if just on-campus housing in general is a priority for you. We have our Belfield campus, and then there is some residences that are on the Black Rock campus. So just in understanding that there is a difference. They're about a mile or so apart, but the transportation is somewhat limited. There's a shuttle that goes back and forth, but it won't be all the time. You can register for housing based on 38 weeks. So that would be the fall and the spring, or 50 weeks, the fall and the spring and the summer. So just to note, you should be starting to be aware of if you need to be on campus in the summer. Does your program have an internship, or is it a research, and do you need to be present, or are you actually physically going in class to classes over the summer? Because although you can always change your mind, it's just nice to know that information. It could sway you one way or the other. We do have virtual tours of all of the on-campus accommodations. The price info should be updated very, very soon for 2024, 2025. I believe on our website, it's still the 2023, 2024 prices, so they're subject to increase, but it will give you at least a framework to understand that price comparison. I do want to talk about off-campus housing because I do think we get that question that Noah was speaking to. Is on-campus housing really for graduate students? Absolutely, it is. But we also know graduate students are at different phases in life, and not all want to live on campus. Sometimes you might only have, 2 days of in-person classes at UCD. So you don't mind living a little further in town, as we would say, or in Dublin city center, or a little bit further out of town. As you explore different price points, neighborhoods that Dublin has to offer. So there's lots of resources online to get you started, to start exploring different neighborhoods. There's the UCD accommodation pad. There is the UCD guide to living off campus. There is a website for booking off campus. And just to note, there is university housing in Dublin. University housing is more so means that you have to be a student in order to live there, but you don't have to be affiliated to one specific university. So they're still privately owned, but as long as you're a registered student at one of the many universities around Dublin, you would be qualified to live there. So that could be another great option, I think, for upperclassmen at UCD, but also graduate students. As far as my key piece of advice, it's there in yellow. You should never hand over money for accommodation in the private sector without viewing a property. That a lot of that was happening during COVID, and there was many scams going around, like in every major city across the globe. But we prefer and would recommend you to be over in Ireland to start that search. So for immigration, which we'll get to in just a few minutes, we would recommend that you arrive in Dublin no earlier than sometime in July in order for the immigration protocols to begin. And we'll get to that in just a few minutes. But that might be something for you to consider if off-campus housing is your choice, or perhaps a choice that you're forced into if you can't get to the on-campus housing. So I want to dive into this a little bit more, but we'll get to questions through the Q&A and certainly in the chat, but I will come back to off-campus housing. For now, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Bridie.
Great, thank you so much, Shannon. So these are the really important dates to make sure that you have in your calendar. I'm sure these are being emailed to you, so make sure you are checking your email regularly. September 2nd, that would be the student orientation. This is general student orientation for our international students. It is really informative, really fun to go to, but you also might have some program-specific orientations. These you'll likely receive emails about in the next coming months. Most of them do not have a set date yet, but make sure to be checking for that. Additionally, a lot of this information will be available in your Student Welcome Hub. So definitely keep an eye on your Student Welcome Hub for any important dates, for any important program information. September 9th is the first day of classes. So very important to be in Dublin by then already. I would recommend arriving at least a week in advance so that you can get over that jet lag before you start your classes. December 7th through the 21st, you will have final exams. Usually the professors post the exam schedule in October. So I normally would recommend that students book their flights back to America after they see their final exam schedule. because while the exams do technically go till the 21st, it's good to know exactly what dates you actually have to be on campus for that. Then come the spring, you will start your second semester, January 20th. So that's about a good month that you can either come back to the US, or, you know, stay in Ireland, maybe travel around Europe during the winter break. What's really nice is it's a lot of time, and with your Irish residency permit, which we've been talking about a little bit and we'll touch more on later, you're able to enter and leave the country, you know, at your whim, which is very nice. March 10th through the 23rd is spring break. A lot of your programs might have some field work during this period. Your program officers will definitely let you know about that. This is usually a really good time to do some research, to get a jump on your thesis that you're going to be working on over the summer. Or if you don't have any required field work in your program, a lot of students use this time to, you know, maybe go interrailing, doing a little bit of traveling in the spring. May 3rd through the 7th, you're going to be doing your final exams. And then pretty soon after that, on May 19th, the third semester starts. I know a lot of your programs, the third semester might be very focused on a thesis or a research project. So that's really good to know that you're going to be starting this in May. Your program officer, your thesis advisors will have, you know, a lot more information about this once you get closer to the third semester. Your final exams will be August 16th through the 23rd, so that makes it a 12-month program. And then you are graduated. Very exciting for those of you on the one-year programs. All of our dates are on our website, at the Key Dates website, so you can definitely see these. If there's any changes, which there very rarely is, this will be posted here. Now, I see that we have already been getting quite a few questions in the chat about federal aid at UCD. We do accept US federal loans, as well as GI Bill veterans benefits for some programs. Many of you may have taken out student loans during undergrad in the past. It is a similar process, but there are some key differences. So it's important to, you know, pay attention if you're looking to take out loans to see what you might have to do different. If we have any Canadian students on the call, we do accept Canadian provincial loans as well. You can reach out to us with any questions about that. Our federal aid office is amazing. They are federalaid@ucd.ie. So if you have any questions about your FAFSA, about your Canadian loans, you can definitely reach out to them. They're more than happy to walk you through it. Hopefully all of you have completed the FAFSA at this time. If you haven't, make sure that you submit it with UCD's school code, which is G10188, and I'll just type that in the chat. That's very important you include our school code so that we can get your information. We will also be hosting a financial aid webinar with a live Q&A on March 12th. So that's coming up, and I will share the registration link for that in the chat as well. But I definitely would recommend coming to that because it will be recorded, but the question and answer session will not be, so it could be very informative for you. The due date to apply for financial aid at UCD would be July 31st. So by this point, you should have your FAFSA submitted. You should have your separate application on SysWeb submitted so that you're ready to get that disbursement in September. Again, though, just definitely please come to the webinar or look at the recording that we're having this month. That will probably go into this in a lot more depth. Great. In addition to financial aid, Canadian provincial loans, I know many of you are interested in scholarships. Now, these come in two different forms. One of them is the International Student Scholarship. Some of you on this call may have been awarded an International Student Scholarship, in which case, congratulations, that's amazing. If you did apply to multiple programs, then the scholarship that you received is only valid for the specific offer letter that it's listed on. So these are not transferable between programs. We also have a Global Excellence Scholarship. Now, this is a very good scholarship. It's between 50% to 100% of your tuition. Very competitive, but I would highly recommend everybody on here apply for it. The deadline to apply for this scholarship is March 31st by 11:59 p.m. Irish time. So definitely make sure you are checking the time zone differences. They do not allow any late submissions. So if you're interested in this scholarship, which everybody should be, definitely make sure to get it in by that deadline. There's also a Government of Ireland scholarship. Now, this is an outside scholarship. It is not through UCD. Instead, it is offered by, you guessed it, the Government of Ireland. And this one is due March 13th, so very soon, again at 11:59 p.m. Irish time. I would highly recommend applying to this one as well. As a note, though, for the Global Excellence Scholarship, you will know the results by late April, usually. For the Government of Ireland Scholarship, you might not know until June, which I know for a lot of you is past your offer acceptance deadline. So just to be aware of that, you might not know about this until after you have committed to UCD. Great. And now we'll talk a little bit about the career and alumni support. UCD has amazing support opportunities. We are #1 in Ireland 4 years in a row for graduate employability, with many alumni around the world. Actually, Noah and Jackie, I wonder if you can, speak to this, as you are UCD alumni and you're obviously still quite invested in the UCD community. So Jackie, I know you have you work for the Irish consulate. Can you tell us how did that come to be?
Yeah, so I came back to the States in 2020, and I was looking for jobs, and it kind of popped up on my LinkedIn because I had a lot of like Irish connections, and they were like, in case anybody is interested in this. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. This sounds fun. And then I came for the interview, and they were really impressed that I knew a lot about Ireland, because I'm sure that they didn't realize like a lot of Americans had some experience with Ireland. And I was like, oh yeah, I lived there. I had a global excellence scholarship. A lot of the people who worked there also went to UCD, so we had a nice chat about that during the interview process. So yeah, so when there's like events on and I'm like going around and chatting to people, one of the things I always bring up is like, oh, like especially if they lived in Ireland, I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I went to UCD. And it's always like a great connection because there's so many people that went to UCD and it's such a close-knit campus. And I also love at the consulate, we sometimes have UCD events there. So that's nice. And I end up seeing Shannon a good amount of times because she also comes for events there. So yeah, it's nice. I love the community.
That's amazing. I love that. One of my favorite statistics is that more than half of the prime ministers of Ireland actually went to UCD. So yeah, it's a good alumni community. Noah, were you able to utilize any of the career alumni connections?
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't go traditional or specifically, through the alumni network or anything. I was very lucky and happened to just find my job the traditional way where I saw a listing as I was nearing graduation and I applied for it, and it worked out that I started 2 or 3 weeks after graduation. So I work back at my home undergraduate university, University of Nevada, Las Vegas. I work in the libraries. I'm faculty there, which is, a great position to get straight out of grad school. And I think a lot of that came down to the fact that it was very unique that I had just come from living in Ireland before my interview. My flight home was that week. So that was like, a really great selling point, and people really liked that, I was coming back to the United States with an international experience and could talk about that. And that was really kind of rich to bring to still an educational community. I did see somebody ask about students that stay and continue to live in Ireland after graduation. So I did have another American classmate. So while I chose to come home, he did decide to stay. He's still in Ireland. He's actually engaged now. So it's very possible to stay there. He works in the field. He works in history. He's working, I believe, at the St. Patrick's Cathedral, kind of doing a lot of the work that they do there. So it is very possible to stay. I know right off the bat, upon graduation, you can apply for, I believe it's up to 2 years of an extended visa to, find a job and then see if the job wants to give you a longer visa after that. So it is very exciting that you kind of have that opportunity it's not just as soon as you graduate, get out. You're welcome to stay and keep working and participate in the Irish community.
Definitely. Yeah, that 2-year stay back visa is so nice if you graduate and, you want to stay in Ireland a little bit longer, which I'm sure many of you will because it's an amazing country. Yeah, so UCD, we also offer really great resources to finding a job through our careers network. And we also offer a Jumpstart program for international students, which is a great free online resource that helps you develop skills, apply for jobs in Ireland, because the application process might be a little different from what you're used to. I know many of you, before you applied for this graduate program, maybe had only written resumes. And so writing a CV was a new experience. And so this resource is really, really helpful to, help you get your foot in the door in that Irish job market. So I'm just going to share the link to that as well in the chat, because it is an amazing opportunity and it's never too soon to start looking into all of your different options.
Friday, I just want to jump in as well. We're going to talk about the Welcome Student Hub. The Welcome Student Hub is a portal in your SysWeb account that you can connect to other classmates. But I believe in the Welcome Student Hub is also where you'll get a chance to connect to our alumni network. So there is a mentoring set up with alumni and current offer holders or graduate students as well. So if this is something that you're really interested in, want to start tapping into that network right away, it is absolutely possible.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you so much. Great. We are having some in-person meet and greets, which I know it might feel right now that you might be the only person around you that is looking to go abroad for graduate school. But obviously, just coming on this call, you can see that is not the case. There are a lot of Americans looking to go to Ireland for their graduate school. And it could be really great to make those connections even before you get to campus. So we will be hosting quite a few different meet and greets in Washington, D.C., New York, San Francisco, Chicago, and Boston. Please check your email for this registration information. You all should have gotten an Eventbrite link by now. And this will just be a really good opportunity to meet other incoming students, to learn a little bit more about UCD. And we will have some visiting faculty. So it'll be a great chance to know some of your future colleagues once you get there. Now, continuing with this theme of planning ahead, right now, what you should be doing is preparing for your travel. Now, I know we received a lot of questions about this into the chat, and it is exciting, but US citizens and Canadian citizens do not need a visa to study in Ireland. So this does make the immigration process quite a bit easier than it might be for some other countries. Instead, you will register with immigration upon arrival in Dublin after you get through the Dublin airport security. Right now, make sure that your passport is valid and that it will be valid for, I would recommend a year. The Immigration Services says at least 6 months, but you definitely do not want to be held up on an expired passport or a soon to be expiring passport, which can also be a red flag. So make sure your passport is up to date and it will be for the duration of your degree. Now, right now, this is really kind of the starting point of our preparation webinars, but please attend many of our other pre-arrival webinars. We will have a Kickstart series, a Follow Me series on our YouTube page, which will kind of help you understand what you need to do beforehand. We will have one that is focused on immigration. We will have one that is focused on accommodation. I know there will be a lot of program-specific webinars that are coming in the next coming months. I would recommend either attending these live or at least watching the recordings after, because these will be incredibly helpful as you prepare your journey across the Atlantic. We also offer some great packing tips on our offer holder sites. You don't need to bring everything but the kitchen sink there. Ireland does sell what you'll need. My biggest packing tip is do not bring a hair straightener or a hair curler. That is definitely something that you should buy in Ireland because the voltage is different. Right now, I would definitely plan to attend our September orientation. It's a lot of fun. It's really informative and it's a great place to meet other international students. And then obviously the biggest step is moving to Dublin and starting your classes in September, which I know right now it seems pretty far away, but that's going to come up on us pretty quickly. Next, I would really like to talk about the health insurance, which I know we've been seeing quite a few questions about in the chat already as well. Understandably, this is, a very important aspect of going abroad. In order to meet those immigration requirements when you do apply for your Irish residency permit, you will have to show that you have health insurance that can cover up to 25,000 euro in hospital and emergency costs while abroad. You will have to show that you have proof of this at your immigration appointment, and you can secure this, beforehand. We have a lot of really great resources. UCD has a discount code with VHI, which is Ireland's largest insurance provider. I wonder, can any of our, students or our current student or our alumni talk about their process of getting health insurance while they were in Ireland? Was it difficult for you?
It's super, super easy. I believe I just went online, filled out a quick little questionnaire, and it was very affordable. I think it was like around 300 euro for the year. It's not American healthcare expense. And one of the other really great things about even just not having that is that there's healthcare on campus at UCD that I used a couple of times when I got sick while I was there, just, as people get sick. And I believe each of those visits to the doctor on campus was maybe 30 euro. And that was no health insurance or anything. That was just showing up and getting treated.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Noah. Yeah, I see somebody asked, are there mental health services for students? Yes, they actually have a really great 24/7 text line. You can book an appointment with a therapist or a counselor on campus. We actually had an event like this for undergraduate students yesterday, and at least 3 of our current students talked about how amazing the on-campus mental health resources are. They all were utilizing them, and yeah, so it's very much there are people there to help you with whatever kind of medical thing you might need help with. Our student health service is open 5 days a week, which is really nice. And if you have an emergency outside of these hours, there are emergency rooms right off of campus, which is really great. There's a pharmacy on campus, so it's very walkable, very easy to get to. And yeah, you could go to these urgent care clinics. I would definitely check with your doctor before you leave if there's any prescriptions that you're not sure you might be able to get in Ireland. Definitely work with them around what you should bring in advance or what you can have picked up in Ireland. Great.
And I'll try and find the link and drop it in the chat as well. But there is a lot of FAQs on the UCD Student Health Services website regarding specific prescriptions and how to start thinking about that process. You have to understand the EU regulates medication differently than the US, and that is absolutely a reality you need to start preparing for if there's any medication that you do rely on. So I'll point you to that website as a first step, but you can also reach out to the UCD pharmacy on campus and ask questions through the general email there as you prepare to make this decision. So I'll find that link and put it in the chat. Thanks, Bridie.
Yeah, thank you. Wonderful, wonderful. And I think there's going to be a student health focused Kickstart webinar, I believe, right, Shannon?
I think they're working on that one.
Okay. So definitely keep an eye on your email inbox for any information on that. Great. Now for the fun stuff. It's great to meet each other. Like I said, I really hope you can all attend an in-person event, but I know this just might not be geographically feasible for some of you. So there's great ways to connect before you even get to campus. Instagram, we are very active on our Instagram. I would highly recommend everybody here follow UCD Global on Instagram, especially because there's a chance to win some free swag. So make sure to follow us on Instagram. Like this post with this specific photo. So you can take a screenshot if you want, so you know which one to like, and comment what you're studying and where you're from. 5 North American students that comment by Friday, March 8th, will be randomly selected for some free swag. So it'll be a great way to, check out where the other students are coming from, but also maybe get some cool stuff so you can start repping your university while you're still here in the States. We also will have a WhatsApp group. It is open now. I would love for you to join. For anybody here who does not have WhatsApp, I think it's very important for you to download before you get there. I'll ask one of our alumni or current students. Let's see, Sierra, what do you think WhatsApp is an important app to have?
I use WhatsApp for everything. Like I'm in so many different WhatsApp groups. The one for my program is the WhatsApp. And most of my friends are international students from various places. And so I use WhatsApp just all the
Yeah, it's so nice. Especially once you get over to Dublin, you'll be able to get an Irish SIM card for pretty inexpensively. Usually that includes data, so you can use WhatsApp to even text your family and friends back in America, and you're not going to incur crazy amounts of international fees. But we do have a WhatsApp group now for incoming North America postgraduate students. Definitely join. This is a great chance to meet people, to text each other some questions, and you will have the ability that you can create your own groups. I know we had a question from somebody in here in the Global Change group. This would be a great chance to meet other people in the Global Change group and maybe be able to text them about some of your different questions. So that is the one. I definitely recommend joining that right now. We do also have a UCD Global Facebook group, which is really great. This WhatsApp group is specifically for our North American students, but the Global Facebook group, you're going to be able to meet incoming students from around the world. That one is also very active. I'm always seeing people comment with what they're studying, where they're from, looking to, make some friends before they even arrive, which is very cool. The Student Welcome Hub, which we've talked a lot about today, but it's just such an amazing resource. This is also going to be a really great place to meet some incoming students, some other offer holders, and this will likely be more program specific, which is really great. So, especially because some of these programs are a bit smaller, it's really nice to kind of start your little cohort together before you even get there. So definitely keep an eye on that Welcome Hub for any, incoming offer holder names that you might connect with, or any interesting events coming up. We also have an alumni connector, which is really, really helpful, so that you can even get talking to alumni before you are even one of them. So while you're a current student, you can meet with alumni and maybe talk about, the job search process for after graduation, or what their experience was like at UCD.
Bridie, thanks so much for sharing all of those resources. I see loads of people now joining our WhatsApp. It might take you a few minutes to download it. We have set it up as like a WhatsApp community, just so you can create those smaller groups that you want. You don't have to stay in our community. You can bring your group outside the community. It is just a place where you all can connect. What I also want to do is send this chat that has been very hot throughout the presentation to everyone that has actually shown up to this webinar, so that you have direct access to this, because I know it's hard to keep up. So it won't be fully public, but it'll send just to anyone who has actually shown up to this webinar.
That is very helpful because we've been getting some great questions in this chat. Very exciting.
I think a lot of this we've covered, Variety, almost.
I think so, yeah. So we have these further resources, and we'll be sharing all of these links with you as well. So definitely make sure to check it out. I know earlier you did mention kind of how we use course to mean degree program. So, if you're interested in other sort of jargon that we use, we have a really helpful jargon buster online that it's a great way to look at to see what words you might be familiar with that we might just have a different word for. That's great. And